All right, so do we have a quorum, everybody? So we'll call the order of the Bicycle and Pedestrian Committee meeting from 5 to 12. Kelly, wherever the heck you are.
Tracy Flugie.
Here.
Kyle Stroh.
Here.
Jessica Atkinson. Here. Dale Schmidt.
Here.
Kim Shannon.
Here.
Sharon Powell.
Here.
Sue Krieger. Here.
Oh.
Thank you. If you all stand for the pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. I welcome motion to approve the agenda. So moved by Jessica. Second. Second by Sharon. Or Sue, comment. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Before we go on to the next one, Sue's here, and Sue's been remote the last couple meetings, so I tried to get you to introduce yourself a little bit and talk a little bit about yourself at last one, but we kept getting disconnected. So if you don't mind.
Try not to be too dirty.
Yeah, we only have Sue Krieger.
Some of you may know me, some of you may not. I've been a resident of Ashwaubenon most of my life. I'm excited to be here, be part of the Like and Ted, and interested in keeping Ashwaubenon safe and fun to get around it.
Thank you. Thank you for your interest. All right, agenda, let's go on to action on minutes. Any changes or approval, otherwise approval for the minutes on March 10th meeting?
I didn't see anything, so motion to approve.
Motion by Dale.
Second.
Second by Kyle. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Item 6, items for discussion and possible action. 6A is the pedestrian and bicycle comprehensive plan community survey and planning process timeline. That's a mouthful. This we talked about at our March meeting when Devin was here and kind of went through it, and we gave some input into the survey itself, different recommendations on it. So this is just kind of updating you, and hopefully some of you had a chance to take it or to get it out to other people that you think might be willing to take it for us. So I don't know if anyone's presenting this or has any other thing to add. Rex or
This one was in my court. So I talked with Devin, I believe it was last Friday morning, and he said he already had 50 different surveys that have been submitted, which I thought was a great number right along. So someone's getting the word out, or somehow the word is getting out. So I mean, we've got it on the village website, village Facebook page, Park and Rec Facebook page. So it's out there. So yeah, just keep on encouraging your friends, family, constituents, whatever, to go online and put their thoughts on what projects might be of value to the community.
It's laid out very nice. It really is. I mean, I know we went through it the last time, but I went through it myself. You did a nice job.
Yeah. Is the map, has he had many people doing the map? Did he say anything about that, Rex?
Didn't put that down.
So yeah, guys, look at the map too, if you want some comments on
And
it.
if someone doesn't feel, again, I know there's still people out there that don't do stuff on the computer or don't, there's hard copies available at the community center in the flyer rack. So if someone wants to fill out a hard copy, there's hard copies there and they can turn them into the counter. Kelly would be giving those to me and I forward them on to Devin then to add into the overall results.
Where were those again, Rex? I'm sorry.
In the wall flyer rack at the community center.
Okay. That's a good idea. Any other groups? I've been out of town, but some of the groups I was thinking of sending it out to that are more bike ped, and please, anyone have other ones, please bring it out and forward it to there's Green Bay Bicycle Collective, which is a big biking group. Bayshore Bike Club is another one in the area. There's a all the bicycle shops might be another one. See if they can put it out on their Facebook because people are doing that. Friends of the Fox River Trail, we'd be happy to put it out on our website. Wello is another one. There's all the walking and biking. There's a Green Bay Cyclist group that is strictly like an online community. They may be able want to put up. There's a Go Ride group of women that ride. And almost
So-
every,
So Tracy, is that something that you want us to do? 'Cause I don't have any.
no,
business
I will
against
be
it. Or do you
happy
wanna try
to,
the-
I will reach out to all these, but I just, if anyone else, maybe it'll trigger someone's head that there's some other ones that are out there.
So these bike groups are biking through Ashwaubenon.
Yes, yeah. There's Go Ride Group, there's a senior group that walks, the Wednesday walkers, maybe that could be sent out directly to them, because I know the walkers go almost every Wednesday from Ashwaubenon, community center, they go to different sites, but that would be a really good group for pedestrians. Carrie Jancourt is a teacher at the high school too, and she has a bicycle section in her class. And she might be another good one to get out to her. She might be able to get it to the kids and get them to fill it out, because they have a different kind of a different viewpoint. They might see things that maybe we don't.
So again, do you want us to do that, or do you want, I just want to make sure it's being attended to by somebody.
I can reach out to the groups I'm mentioning, except maybe you can do, if you wouldn't mind doing the Wednesday walkers, because that's your group.
Yeah,
and
but I
you
think what we'll
have
probably
the-
actually do is we can do an email to all of the seniors.
Yeah.
Yes, to
So
see,
we've got a
yeah,
fairly large
because,
senior population.
yeah, even your
Yes.
place, you know, you probably have a lot of people that walk.
We sent it out at one side.
Okay.
Onto the much.
Tracy, it may have already gone out, I'm not sure. It sounds like something.
Okay, yeah, and I didn't, like I said, I didn't look, so it might have gone to that. I just thought of that group when I were talking about it, and they,
Not all
you know,
touch
they
base.
are out there. And then I was thinking for you too, if there's anyone in your area, if you guys have a regular group that goes out, or your neighbors that are big walkers, because you guys have that trail right there. So maybe if there's people on that end too, that would be.
Just to the HOAs.
Oh, yes, that's a good idea. Yeah, that's a really good idea, because they're right there. I mean, they're on the trail. But I don't know, does anybody have any other ones? That's just the ones that came out, that I thought of on the top of my head that maybe would be good ones to send it to. If there's any other groups around that maybe I didn't think about, or.
You're familiar with a lot more than I am. You're
There's
spitting
gotta
them
be
out and
running
I'm going,
group, the
oh.
running groups. You keep talking biking.
Yes, there is a running group.
There's
Yep.
a running group that used to run. from Belleville.
Yes, there is a
I
running
don't know if
group.
they still do or not.
Yep, good call. I didn't even think of them. Not being a runner. Okay, running group, yep. There's probably a couple of list of running groups. I know there's one that I'm aware of, but any other ones that you can think of, or groups?
So Wednesday's Fun Run group is still there.
The fun run group? Oh, is it? Okay.
But I think the youngest member must be 75 or 80.
Oh, really?
years
Oh,
old.
funny.
But they still meet. I think it's more of a social, let's have a beer after we walk around the parking lot type of group.
That's okay.
But they've been going on since the mid-70s.
Wow. Mhm. Did McNeil start that?
Bruce McNeil started it. Remember, when you
Oh, yeah.
remember Erdman? Remember Mr. Erdman?
Yeah.
PE teacher, he's part of that.
You actually even see a lot of people from like Schneider and that up on the.
Oh, yeah.
During the breaks.
Yeah, because they're right there too.
There's a lot of people.
Yeah,
that walk
Yeah, I
there.
don't know if Schneider would put something on their newsletter or something, because they're right on both those trails,
I don't know
actually.
corporate wise, how they would.
Yeah, they didn't have anything, but, yeah, if you think of anybody else, either send it out yourself, or if you really
It's
don't
probably too
know.
late now, but maybe we should have like signs at rec parks and stuff that people could have scanned with their phones and write the
Yeah.
survey from there.
Yeah,
But it's probably too late for that now, but that might have been a nice thing.
when does it close, June?
6, I think
Six.
it is. I'm pretty sure it's 6.
What's that?
I was only the closing date, and I know it was in the
It's Friday the 6th.
6th, okay. So, yeah, if you-
5th, whatever that Friday is. It's the 4th, actually. No?
no, it is, it's Friday, yep.
6th, whatever that Friday is.
So we have 3 or 4 weeks or whatever, so yeah, just get out if you think of anybody, or just people you think that might be wanting to do it. I mean, the more information we get, the better. Help us make some decisions, but. All right, any other comments or anything on that, or anything we saw that you want to share? The library is up, the new library. Well, the old library might do it, but. Ask Carla, yeah. Maybe she could. Yeah. Any other questions or anything, guys, on that? 6B is overview and update regarding upcoming bicycle and pedestrian projects in the village. And I believe Brian is
Yep,
in charge
definitely.
of this one.
I don't know, Sarah, if you're able to, want me to share, or,
Just pictures.
ooh, never mind, she's
No sharing.
up ahead of me. All right. Oh, I'm sharing an entire screen though. But if I, I'll try to do it from here, or it'll be goofy because I don't have, oh, sorry. Okay, it's just super delayed, but we'll get there. Perfect. Okay, so in front of you, there's 3 different projects we're going to chat about. The first one being the Cormier and Holmgren rectangular rapid flashing beacon. Just to kind of kick it off, people are probably wondering what is a rectangular rapid flashing beacon. There's rapid flashing beacons at Cormier, Santa Barbara, Cormier, Shady. There's one out in front of Lodge Bowler. Just to kind of give you guys an idea of what you're thinking of. So essentially it's something you push the button, 2 yellow lights flash back and forth and it just says, hey, there's a pedestrian at this crossing, you need to stop. Of course it is state law to stop, but whether or not people actually do it, that's a whole other educational component of it. So in front of you, this is just a real quick drawing that I put together, just an overview. There's 2 locations. We started working with Ayers and Associates to determine where it would be most appropriate in this heavier, densely populated area, especially during baseball games, or if there is a event at the Epic Center. So in the red lines here, you can see the locations that are proposed. One of them is essentially right out front from the entry gate, the main entry gate of the Rockers Stadium. It is offset just a little bit. So it does not directly line up with the emergency exit for the hotel, just because it would be a little awkward. So it is offset and it does line up with nearly the center of the entry point for the Rockers Stadium. So you can see that up there. The second location, this is going to seem very random, but as I go through the drawings here, it'll make a little bit more sense. So if you guys did travel near the intersection of Holmgren and Cormier, you'll notice that they're working on the first floor of a multifamily mixed-use unit. The lower parts of the unit are going to have light commercial use. Upper units are going to be housing. That facility is going to be a large parking lot. Along with the large parking lot, it's going to be a walking trail that goes around the outer edge of it. So kind of where my cursor is, goes like that. This would actually line up with that walkway. And then along their eastern property line, there's a large stormwater facility going here. If you have been out and about, you can see that all currently being constructed. When it comes to engineering plans, this is actually that intersection on Cormier. Here's that walkway that I was referencing. These curb cuts and this driveway are already installed. So this is essentially kind of showing you what it's going to look like. There'll be a pole here, a 20-foot pole with a 25-foot trombone arm. What that'll do is it'll allow these signs not only to just flash at the pole, but it'll flash actually over the top of the innermost lanes of traffic. Reason for that is say you had a tall profile vehicle in the outside lanes, and someone's in the inside lane, they would still be able to see up above that there should be a pedestrian.
Sounds like Ridge Road.
Similar to Ridge Road. Yep. Not quite the exact same design as Ridge Road. That's a little bit more fancy because they have actually monopoles there, and it's one big arm. This is actually going to be one arm on both sides. So
Okay.
one arm on this side and one arm on that side. The structure that's actually out there on Ridge Road is very expensive. You can achieve the similar type design with just having 2 separate poles.
How high is that?
20 feet.
20 feet.
Yep. So
the pole's 25 feet long, is that what that's saying? Or where
Yeah, so-
it'll go in almost the middle of the inside lane?
correct.
And
Yep, that was our desire, is to meet the middle of the inside lane. Yep. So, yeah, and we have very similar configuration, except for just obviously a different location on Holmgren. With a pole with a trombone arm that goes over that centermost lane of traffic. And it'll have the wigwags that'll go back and forth once the button's pressed. All solar powered. So, yeah, any questions?
Looks great.
are you gonna do a ladder type crossing in the crosswalk, or are you just doing?
It'll be the
single
singular stripes like we normally do.
Just one
Yeah.
stripe? You're
The
not gonna
ladder's very
consider a ladder?
expensive.
Well, I know it is, but it's busy area, it's four
Yeah.
lanes, and it's more visible, so it makes it safer for people potentially.
I would agree. Ultimately, if that is the standard that we want to switch to, is switching a lot of our crosswalks to that. It's just something that I would say from an administrative point, we'll need to know because paint's expensive. When you start painting these high traffic areas, they do usually have to be painted every year. And you'll burn up probably about 15 gallons of paint. So you're probably about $500 to $700 annually per crosswalk that you do. So
I've used the analogy of Ridge Road many times in here, where I take my grandkids across.
yep,
Even with flashing lights overhead, you better be looking out for yourself.
correct.
They're not looking out for you.
Right, yeah,
Right.
you're right. Yep.
So you really have to be cautious, even if you're the pedestrian.
Yeah, I would definitely agree. That boils down to education, which sounds like with your grandkids, you're trying to do the educational part of it, and then the second part is enforcement, which
Education for the people driving the cars, not the grandkids.
Right.
I was in the middle and they went past me.
right,
So,
yep.
But a lot of times it's people from town too, so.
yeah,
Yeah.
people not paying
Anyway,
attention.
I say a lot of
people
No.
Like up by the Packers, I think.
No, this is just regular day. This ain't Packer games. This is just taking the title town. We park in the Packer Stadium and we walk across there to go to the title town district. It's happened more than once, so it's not.
I live on Cormier Road, so halfway between those two beacons there. And it's the same people drive that road every day, so it's not like those are new people coming in. Well, sometimes they do and sometimes they don't. It's better, but still.
Yeah, a lot of that obviously would come down to an enforcement. It is state law.
Yeah.
If you have a pedestrian in a crosswalk, then it's an enforcement thing that unfortunately we can maybe work with public safety to issue some citations.
But this is good because I personally, I wouldn't even thought about somebody on that side, right, with a big truck and not
well,
having visibility to the sign.
Yeah. Well, and that's what Brian said, it's a multi-level threat for pedestrians or someone crossing it, because it blocks that person. And the one up on Ridge, when they first put it in, they didn't have the stop bar there,
Mhm.
and they put the stop bar in. So are there gonna be stop bars here? Because it keeps people back. You don't want a motor vehicle right up at the crosswalk line, because then they're blocking for that other car. You can't see them. But if you keep them back, there's more visibility for that person walking, as well as the motorist can hopefully see. And I know they added them up there because they're having some issues, so it doesn't look like this is having.
No, we don't have them.
Stop bars?
I'll have to look. I know as part of an actual Hawk system where it actually gives a red, like a stop condition,
Right.
you do put the stop bars. I don't know what the rapid flashing beacon, I'd have to look through the traffic manual to see if that is appropriate use.
I'm thinking a 4-lane road that would be any kind of crosswalk, you know what I mean?
Right.
Just to keep people back, so you don't have that risk.
Mhm.
With the other question is, are you gonna have the yellow high-vis signs for all the different signs like that are out further, like warning ahead, or are you gonna do the older ones? Or
No, they should be the newer yellow green
Yeah,
colored ones.
High-vis.
I can double check, but I would think that that's what they should be.
Yeah,
I don't have
think
this.
that's pretty
Yeah, it is pretty
standard
standard,
nowadays.
but I can double check that.
So they're using that parking lot to go to the Epic Center as well, right? They're going back both ways.
Yes,
So
that
this-
parking lot, and I'm actually on the page here. So on Cormier, the parking lot that is going in here, don't quote me on this, I think there's 300 or 400 stalls, and it is
Wow.
a parking lot that's going to be used for both facilities, whether it's the baseball diamond or the bands at night. So,
That's gonna get some usage.
yep, unfortunately, there was one incident already on Cormier there where a pedestrian did get hit. Whether or not it was a pedestrian's fault or the motorist's fault, it's not for me to speak about, but all we can do is try to make things safer.
Brian, how much ahead do those warning signs that are out away from that say, letting the motorists know that there's crossing ahead, how much feet out of
There
those?
is, the
250?
standard's 250 feet, yeah, so it should be, right here. Install advanced signage, minimum of 250 feet.
Okay, so then how far are we from the intersection of Cormier and Holmgren, where the lights are?
Look,
Approximately.
much very quickly. Actually, got put on top of it here.
Because that's my concern, that one's kind of close to the intersection, you
I
know?
remember us talking about that. One of the
Yeah.
other ones that it was gonna be tight, but
Yeah. Even those driveways coming out of there.
You like the person trying to feed the light?
Yeah,
Go through
exactly,
the-
yeah, yeah.
Go through the
Yeah,
pedestrian
which-
crossing.
Which there's a ton of them now, yes, you're right, it's red to go. So
It
then-
should be, I would say plenty good. So measuring from the intersection of Premier and Holmgren, to the approximate location, it's about 430 feet. So there should be plenty of an advance warning or spot to put that signage appropriately.
Okay, then how far, I know, isn't there 2 driveways coming out of that new development? How close, or
I
is it
think
just
there's
one?
actually 3. Is there
There's
2 or
3?
3?
I know
I don't
one
think
was
so,
right
no.
close to Premier, and I was like, I don't know on that one, but,
Maybe there's 2 on Premier and 1. Yeah. One of the driveways is very, very close to Holmgren, closer than
yes,
what I would
Then-
prefer. But
yeah, me too. So the driveway that comes out to that big parking lot that's behind, that's on the east side?
Yep.
Where is that in relation to the crosswalk?
So the crosswalk, it's right adjacent to the crosswalk. So let me jump back here. Right here is their driveway. You can see it's drawn here. Crosswalk is probably 12 feet if I had to guess, 10 to 12 feet. Any further questions on this one? Sounds good. All right, the next one I'll jump into is the roundabout at Ackerland and Grant. So those of you that maybe travel in this area will notice that they already started building the twin to this roundabout, actually this morning at the intersection Mid Valley and Grant. So this is actually a county-led project. It does have some village funds associated with it. What you can see here is just a conceptual rendering of essentially what the pedestrian accommodations will look like. In all 4 quadrants there is the sidewalk along with the crosswalk, and then there is the bike kick-out areas to allow people to get off from the paved surface and up onto the sidewalk. So
The one in Mid Valley, that's the critical one. I can't believe they didn't do that when they did the opposite side.
I would agree.
Oh my gosh, when you stick your nose out there, you better be watching out.
There's a lot of accidents there.
Yeah, I believe it. Yeah, I believe it.
So yeah, any questions about this one? It's pretty straightforward. I mean, anyone that's traveled through a roundabout that's in a rural area of Wisconsin that was DOT kind of constructed does have this very similar configuration. So all right,
What's the timing for that, Brian?
next year. Yep. All right. Main Ave, so this is a project, it's an extension. I know Rex is very familiar with this project. So we did what did we do? From Sand Acres to Ridge Road. It would have been probably back in 2022. That sound about right? 21, 22. So this will be the extension of Ridge Road actually into De Pere. So with this, we are continuing on with the 10-foot trail when you get on the east side of Ridge Road, all the way up until Arts Lane. So what you see here, it's kind of hard to see what's going on, but this gray hashed area or gray shaded area, that is the 10-foot wide trail. That does go all the way east. There's a 5-foot wide terrace. Goes all the way to Arts Lane. And you can see, so if you jump under here, goes all the way until Arts Lane. Once we get to Arts Lane, it drops from a 10-foot wide facility down to a 5-foot wide facility for various reasons. In the future, likely there will be a trail that will go up the side of Arts Lane, which will then connect to the trail that's over the top of the gas easement that you guys may be familiar with. There's a A&R pipeline has a gas easement and it has a trail. That gas line does then come up Arts Lane. So there would be the connectivity there. The second reason why we drop down to a 5-foot facility is when you get to the bridge that crosses the Ashwaubenon Creek or Ashwaubenon River. That is a 5-foot wide facility on the bridge deck that's down there. Creek. Creek,
It could be considered.
That's
river.
Could be a creek.
I call it quick.
Me too.
River with the snow melts.
Yeah, crick in your neck.
The waterway, the Ashwaubenon waterway. The thing that gets really challenging as you go to the east on this project is there is a ton of utilities, and then you also deal with a lot of challenges with grade. So if you ever drive through there, you'll notice that the terrace area right next to the pavement, it's very sloped. So where you have to build quite a few retaining walls, some of them being all the way upwards to 5 to 6 feet tall, in order to get this sidewalk to fit. Along with that, you can see what we have shown in here. The red areas are actually easements that we're going to have to work to get. Blue areas that are shown are actually right away that we're going to have to purchase from these different property owners. What we're trying to do is we're trying to get this project so it's essentially turnkey, so we can start applying for TAP grants, which are Transportation Alternative Program grants. And they want everything to pretty much be ready for the project. So utilities relocated, right away purchased. So it's kind of a project that's ready to hit the ground running. So we're trying to stay ahead of it. The goal would be to do this project in 2028. The county does plan to shut down Main Ave in 2028 to replace the bridge deck on top of that bridge. The girders and everything, the substructure of the bridge are still good. It's just the bridge deck itself is rotten. And if you drive across it, you'll notice that.
Is it TAP grant, is that federal or state?
Federal.
Everything, as Brian said, everything, we tried to apply for that 2 times already, but because we didn't have the easements or the right of way like locked up, we did not get the funds that we needed. So that needs to be done ahead of time, which is what we're working on.
Correct.
Well, hopefully we'll have a better one.
Yes. So yes, with this, it's kind of just a continuation of the existing trail until you get to Arts Lane, and then it drops down to a 5-foot wide facility.
Brian, I don't know if it's shown in here, but Brian and I have met with Harmon Studios, Mr. Harmon, and he wants to have some type of
Right
seating
there's
bench.
the seating benches shown.
Yeah.
Oh.
So it's included on there. So it will be a little rest stop, and then somewhere in there behind the benches, we're not really sure where yet, but he would like to put a piece of artwork, maybe like an old time camera, like on a tripod, that type of thing, just to kind of show off that it is, which makes sense, you know what I mean, if he's letting us use that to put benches on, whatnot, so.
Good for him.
In the works, but FYI, there'll be a little rest stop there as hopefully when this progresses forward.
Yep, and that's why you'll see the right of way here does bump out. You kind of see the retaining wall also bumps out. So, you know, right here's the trail, and then the benches are set back a little bit off from the trail.
Bet he's gonna start selling ice cream.
Or portraits on it too.
Let's make sure he has the right permits.
Yeah.
We haven't gotten that far yet.
What did you ask?
If they sell naming rights on
Oh, we could, I mean, we
Yeah.
certainly have other benches along trails and parks that have, I don't want to say they're memorial benches, but a lot of times there's recognition benches of the community group or a person just wants to give back to that particular project. So certainly doable.
Likely, I mean, if we were to put something like this, it sounded, and I don't want to speak on behalf of the photography studio, but it sounded like they were interested in maybe supporting some of the costs of the benches and stuff like that. We haven't gotten to the point of working through logistics of that, but.
Oh, we've seen it.
Right.
Have you guys heard or are you running into issues with federal grants? With everything that's going on politically?
Not yet. I know Rex has got more federal grants going on right now than we do with the NRDA or the ACDC stuff, but.
Yeah, they're not sure, they have not heard yet.
Okay.
So nothing major has changed for us yet, but I'm going to say yet again.
Yeah.
Because they're reimbursement grants, that's why you don't know, you don't have the money.
Correct.
They're the
Right,
expenses.
so it's
Correct.
just whether or not the feds want to be supporting so many projects out there. A lot of them don't, you know, current administration doesn't feel like that they should be supporting as much. So a lot of those programs have been put on hold. The good thing about the AC/DC, not to take a little turn here, but the good thing about AC/DC is a lot of that money just isn't like new tax dollars. It's money that's still in a fund from paper mills and so on and so forth. So it's not like it's from the taxpayers per se. Everything.
They already have the money.
So they already have the money, from what I understand. So but that being said, we'll wait and see what happens. Whether they release that or whether they kind of redirect that to other projects, not sure. Keeping our fingers crossed.
With that, I don't know if you guys have any questions about any of the projects, but that's pretty much all I have. Just kind of getting the Bike and Peg Committee up to speed with where we're at and letting them know that
You got a lot of good stuff going on.
we're trying.
Yeah.
So is the standard for sidewalk 5 feet now?
Yep.
So it will be a standard size, and then how far will the retaining wall be from the sidewalk in the places where you have the retaining wall?
It depends on the height.
Pardon?
It depends on the height. So certain areas we're going to be able to get away with heightened like pedestrian curb, which is essentially, you know, it could be up to all the way an 18-inch pedestrian curb. There is areas that the actual retaining wall I'm trying to figure out. So this one is pretty far away because it's pushed away. This retaining wall is adjacent to, I'd have to see what the cross sections are to get a height on it. Oh no, I take that back. That's a peg curb. So that one's also a short one.
I don't want to speak for Tracy, but I think the concern is kind of like what was happening.
How close to the trail,
Yeah,
how close to the
you
sidewalk
don't want
it
like
is.
candles on a 5 foot, you don't want the wall right up,
Right.
depending on the height. Because you don't want the bike candles to catch on the wall, you probably want it offset, you know, a couple of feet, at least 2 to 3 feet.
Well,
Yeah, no, I can check into that and see what it is offset. I know that desirable is obviously 2
2
feet.
feet, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I can look into that and see what it is.
I know the section between Sand Acres and Ridge, the retaining wall is right up on the edge, but that's a 10-foot drop.
Yeah, so you have more space, but yeah, when you get 5, it gets tight. Even for a pedestrian to cross, you know, walking, you know, side by side, it's tight when you're right up against it. For safety reasons. So the more space you can keep in there, Brian, the better.
Yeah. I'm just looking here at majority of the places, yeah, however far we space it back, either will push us to have to acquire additional right away. Not saying we can't. I mean, we're in the process right now where we could. I'm just looking like, you know, here we have a retaining wall and a 5-foot wide trail. We weren't acquiring any right of way until you got to this lot here, and then we had to acquire some right of way. So I can look at those cross sections and figure out what we're looking at for height and what it's offset.
That'd be great, thank you.
Yep.
Any other questions or comments on that, anybody?
Off the subject, doing something illegal, I'm sure. A
You
big
are.
thank you to you, Rex. I wish Joel was here, because I went to the draft all 3 days, and you guys, you made us proud. I mean,
So Brian,
you could,
I just drove around in a UTV. Brian's the one that did a lot of.
I mean, because I'm sure there was a ton of work that the average person can't even envision, right?
Yeah,
But it turned out really nice.
thanks. I appreciate it.
I agree.
We talked to, my wife and I went there actually a week before and talked to a guard. And he works with this team that put up the building, and they travel all over. They were going to Vegas and then Alaska. And he told us, he says, I just gotta let you guys know, he said, the people around here are so friendly. He says, the first thing we were told is we don't need to carry our weapons.
Okay.
He said, and that's very unusual when we go into these cities. So it was, I mean, and, you know, when it turned out the way it did, and yeah, we were in the rain, but still, it was really something to be proud of for sure.
Thanks.
So congrats.
Appreciate it.
Okay, anything else on the topic at hand? With the trails or any other questions on them? Brian, anything to add? Anybody?
No.
Questions? Always thank you for the information.
Yep.
Don't go on to item 7, which is items for next agenda. Does anybody have anything for next agenda?
No, I'd say I had some people at the the middle school choir concert approached me because somehow they found that I was on this committee.
Yep.
And they were bringing up the PAC and the parking there for there, and I guess dance competitions and swim meets and everything. There's a lot of parking on the road there and crossing there. I don't know if that's come up at all. So
Crossing
before by
Ridge.
like is that Sandra, the road right there?
Sandra's, yeah.
And so like
Okay.
people park on Ridge on both sides and then they park down Sandra. And then everyone's coming across right there to go to the PAC for different stuff like school and
Senior
different
camp,
things
yeah.
like that. And they're saying there's lots of going back and forth across that street asking, because there's the crosswalk down at the corner,
Yep.
but not like right at the PAC. And they asked about signage or if that's ever been brought up. And I couldn't remember that coming up in any of the meetings. I don't know.
It is not.
I was gonna say, I was like, actually, I have not heard of this one, so I said I would bring it up to see if that was ever discussed or talked about or anything there.
So can we put it on next month's agenda?
Yeah, should.
And talk about it, just preliminarily and see what it is, and it could be addressed obviously in the
Yeah.
ed plan,
Yeah.
too, you know.
Well, that's
but
what I know,
still.
we want to work in there, and I'm like, I don't know if that would be school, or I'm like, that touches so many different things that I was like, I'm not
You know,
really
that's
sure.
that's a good point. If you have not yet filled out, sometimes with these surveys, comprehensive plan surveys, I always like them. There's two trains of thought. Do it now and do it early, so that way you don't forget about it.
Mhm.
Or do it towards the end, that way as you're thinking,
Remember.
if things pop up in your mind that you're not thinking of right out of the gate, you have the opportunity to add on to it type of thing. So if you haven't done a
Yeah.
survey yet, I don't know if you can go back and change things or not, that I don't know, once you submit it. I don't
I
think you
don't
can.
think you probably can, maybe
I
just
say,
do
I
it
don't
in
know.
time.
If you
I say
haven't
go
done
in
it
and try to do it
yet,
again.
Yeah,
and if you think that's something that might be of benefit to your
Yeah.
community,
Yeah.
that might be one you might want to add.
Yeah.
The crossing and sand. And at the very least, it gives us the ability to investigate it further.
Right.
Did you say it's on the village website? I'm on the homepage. I was just wondering from there where I'm.
I think there's a link.
Our homepage did just get redone, so it's possible that it.
No, it was a big box on
On the front page.
I thought Kelly sent this.
I did.
She did,
And
yeah.
just
She
to
did, yeah.
follow up, like you should encourage them. It'll be on the weekly Wednesday. Tell them to fill it out. Yeah.
Yeah, it's right, village spotlights, at least for me, it's one of the items under village spotlights. 2025.
Thank you.
Village spotlights.
Trying to think what other things are gonna be at the PAC for school as all of us are wrapping up, because that would be a good thing. When they send the thing to all the parents to respond to me like, go fill this out.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, don't you think you have the same problem at football games?
That's what I say, I bet it's with all the sporting stuff, that's all, well, like, so there's just so much, I think the PAC is hosting so much more,
you know,
it's
there's
a
conflicts.
dance competitions, and then you have a swim meet at the same time, and then you have like, because the parking throughout that whole area is just crazy. Yeah, I mean, it's a good thing, but it's, there's just not enough, So,
Okay, so we'll put that on the agenda. Is Devin coming back at the next meeting? Do you know? Was that scheduled? I'm trying to can't remember.
July, so this
Oh,
will
July,
not,
okay.
this will not be completed in time for the June meeting, because the second Monday is literally the Monday after this is due. for the deadline. So he's not gonna have,
So he'll be at the July
but
meeting
it'll
then.
be on the July agenda to go
Okay.
over all the results
Okay.
for Devin.
Anything else that anyone had on the agenda? Excellent. All right. Thank you, then a motion to adjourn.
We're doing better.
Jessica, everyone wants to stay, all right?
Wow.
I'll second it.
Second by Sue. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? You can stay.